the 911 Calls Podcast with the operator.
Hi, I would like to request some help from my daughter.
And if you threw a party, invited everyone you knew, you might see the biggest gift would get from me, and the card attached would say, "Thank you for being a friend, Jess." Yeah. Hi, Jess.
Hey, Op.
How's it going?
Not crying.
We had a lively uncut. That was lively. We went over data. We went to a data source for crime data, and we dug into some crime. That was fun.
So fun. You did such a good job.
I thought that was pretty fun. Just getting into it, digging into statistics. And what we found was basically that data really requires context.
Yes.
Not necessarily context as much as data by itself is challenging. You really need to be able to have a layer of, what would you call it? I guess context or application.
And source.
Sources are important, and the source we used was pretty reputable.
Yeah, but even if you understand where the data is coming from, I always ask, well, how did they collect that data? What kind of, you know what I mean? The logistics of it, because they could, the question, I sounded like a complete idiot, not understanding why race and ethnicity are listed separately, and ethnicity only says Hispanic or not Hispanic, right? Or other.
Right. Yeah, because we were talking about U.S. crime and race. It was interesting. The race was broken down into categories: Black, African American, white, Asian was in there, Native American, indigenous populations, Native American and Alaskan, I think was how they put it. And then Hawaiian Islander was in there, but no Hispanic. And that was interesting to us. And then it kind of dawned on us that those are races. Ethnicity is a different thing. And so we went to ethnicity, and it still was a mind bender because, to your point, it was Hispanic or not Hispanic. That was it. That was the breakdown.
Long story short, I had more questions than answers.
If you didn't hear the uncut and you want to hear the uncut, you can hear it on 911 Calls Podcast, the uncut versions, which you can get on patreon.com/1159media. All of our shows have uncuts.
And ad-free.
A wealth of information. Yea, verily. What's that?
I said, and they're ad-free.
And they're ad-free. Yeah, so if you hate the ads, go over there, or you can go to 1159plus.com and listen to all the uncuts. If you have $5, that's all you need to hear all the glorious goodness. Anyway, moving on. Please do that. You help us pay the bills, and you help us keep people in jobs, and you help keep food on Bean Bean's table. So if you've got $5 a month, know that you are feeding Bean Bean. And that should make you feel good. And if you feel good right now, pause this episode and go to 1159 Media.
Oh.
Nope. Go to 1159plus.com or patreon.com/1159 Media and feed Bean Bean. Okay, moving on. All right. So today's episode is a mouthful. A mouthful. Not only do I have a lot of call that we got to get through, there's not going to be as much jibber jabber because the call itself, the series of calls that we're going to listen to, string together the storyline. There's some observations we can make as we go through it. Also, I have a couple burning questions, like chlamydia level burning questions that I need answered.
Why do you know that chlamydia burns? And does it?
I don't know. I just listened to when I listen to Mozart, I'm like, that's some fast playing, probably playing fast so that he can scratch his crotch soon because he had chlamydia. So that's how I know. I don't have it. I don't.
Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, so I have these burning questions that I need answered. So I've decided that at the end of the case, I will posit some questions and we will ring-a-ding-ding up my friend Adam the cop and have him elucidate on some of my burning questions. And hopefully he will have a salve, yea, verily, a balm to soothe my burning questions. And with that, let's get into this. Dun, 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 dun. So everything that we're going to talk about today happens in Salt Lake City. Now, Salt Lake City is nestled in the heart of Salt Lake, which is nestled in the heart of Utah, a place where history and modernity collide, making it a fascinating backdrop for any tale, including the tragic one that we're going to tell today that happened back in 2018. Let's set the scene with, as we do from time to time, some context about the city itself. In 2018, Salt Lake City played host to several noteworthy events that had nothing to do with the case in question. For starters, it was the year the Wheeler Historic Farm welcomed visitors with its blend of seasonal events, wagon rides, and a peek into agricultural life. The event showcased the city's connection to its rural roots amidst urban expansion. Additionally, here's one you might know, you might have heard the name of, but you didn't know where it happened. The Sundance Film Festival once again turned Park City, Utah, a stone's throw from Salt Lake, into a cinephile's paradise, screening 110 independent films from 29 countries. Are you kidding me? So these are the kind of events that underline the city's cultural vibrancy and its role as a hub for both historical preservation and contemporary arts. Did you know, also, fun fact to know and share, did you know that the Utah Valley, the valley where Salt Lake City is, that valley is actually has a high level of TV and movie production industry because of the diversity of the landscape and the surroundings. You can be in an urban environment, you could be in the mountains, you could be at water. The water around there is big enough that they can even do ocean-like scenes. Some of the noteworthy bits of entertainment that have been birthed out of the womb of Salt Lake City is most notably the hit TV show Touched by an Angel. You might have heard of it. Yeah, that's right. That was produced in Salt Lake City, Utah, in that area. But that's not all.
So when you're from the Midwest, all of that region of the United States is just kind of one blob.
One blob, yeah. It's
no man's land. I don't think of Utah as having a diverse landscape, but
right. What's wild is if you look at it on a map, it's like a giant took a sword and just cut a giant scar through the state, because the Rocky Mountains just bust right through Utah. And Salt Lake is nestled, I guess you could say, crammed up against, you just right up against the Rockies. And it makes for some unbelievable scenery, actually. Just being that close to such high mountains it's grand. It's grand. Anyway, let's get it. Here's a fun fact to know and share. Salt Lake City is the home to the first ever in the United States department store. Did you know that?
no.
ZCMI, Zion's Cooperative Mercantile Institution, was established in 1868, and it was a precursor to today's department stores. Okay, let's get into this. we got some characters. Okay. We have a victim.
I'm ready.
The victim in this case is Lauren McCluskey,
Okay.
and she was a student at the University of Utah, and she was also a track athlete, and that would have been NC2A, I believe. If you're in track at the University of Utah, that's NC2A. Chase is shaking his head. Chase is our resident. He is Barstool Sports for 1159. So he's saying, yes, that's correct. Our perp in this case is Melvin Rowland. He had been in a previous relationship with Lauren McCluskey. And just as a side note, also a registered sex offender. So there's that. So Lauren McCluskey was a very bright student. She was ambitious. She was a student athlete, as I mentioned. And her relationship with Melvin was fraught, probably a good word for it, with manipulation and deceit. And this is a good thing, is she had recognized that it was a toxic relationship and shaken herself free of it. Maybe from a relationship standpoint, but the arms of the toxic member in the relationship wouldn't let go. His criminal background and deceitful actions toward Lauren highlight some systemic failures in protecting victims of domestic violence and stalking. On the day leading up to the incident, Salt Lake was just like any other day. Nothing catastrophic was happening. There weren't any tornadoes or hurricanes or anything. But dang it, I was hoping to just get right into this, but I need to give you one more fun fact to know and share. Salt Lake, not known for tornadoes. Not at all. But one fateful day, several years ago, a tornado formed in downtown Salt Lake, which is weird for a couple reasons. One, tornadoes usually hit extremely flat ground. If they touch down, it's because it's a flat area, right?
Right.
Two, to happen in an urban area with high-rise buildings and everything is almost unheard of, because a tornado requires a certain amount of velocity of wind in order to get going, right? In spite of both of those almost physical impossibilities, a tornado formed in downtown Salt Lake, and get this, sucked one dude out of a window in a high-rise building and killed him. Now, Salt Lake has a bit of a spiritual past because it was founded by the Mormons.
I was going to say, did everyone think it was an act of God?
I mean, seriously, what did he say? What did he say? Like, what was the problem? Like, what caused God to go,
He fucked up.
I got to get that guy right now. Time's up. Crazy. Crazy. Anyway, moving on.
Was that just a random fact?
Yeah, it was just a random fact. I remembered just as we were talking about it being any other day.
I always buy into that. Dang it.
Because most days in Salt Lake are any other day, but except for that day. Well, and this day that we're talking about here. So she was at the University of Utah. And this is where I stop talking and we just start listening to calls. We're going to get into it. So this first call comes from Lauren's mom to local campus security with regard to Lauren's car that was going to be returned to Lauren, supposedly by a friend of her ex, Melvin's friend. And Lauren's mom was a bit concerned. She knew how the relationship had gone down. She was worried about this handoff and everything. So she thought she'd be proactive and contact campus security and say, hey, anything you can do to kind of be a middleman for this kind of thing. I don't know if you know it, but many college campuses have security and they also have escorts. So if you feel unsafe on a campus, you can contact security and they will either escort you or they can pick you up or travel you somewhere within reason. It's common on bigger campuses. Anyway, so let's get into this. This is Lauren's mom contacting University of Utah security, campus security. Here we go.
University Police Security, how can I help you? Hi, I would like to request some help from my daughter, who's a student at University of Utah.
Okay. What is the situation exactly? What does your daughter need help with?
Okay. So she was dating someone who's not a student, and he has her car.
Sorry.
And he has her car.
Okay.
And he's supposed to return. She broke up with him, and he's supposed to return it to the parking lot at the stadium.
Uh-huh.
And I'm worried that he's dangerous.
Okay. We can definitely have someone help her out. Can you have your daughter give us a call?
Can you guys call her?
Yeah, what's her phone number?
Okay, it's
00.
So let me tell you just a little bit more. So he was lying to her,
Okay.
and he's actually a sexual offender,
Okay.
and lied about his age and things like that.
Okay.
And then he has her car, and he wants her to return. One of his friends wants her to return the car to the stadium parking lot at 5:00. And since it's fall break, a bunch of her friends aren't there, so I'm worried she's going to go there alone and someone's going to hurt her.
Definitely. Okay. Yeah, and you said the area code is... and what was her name?
Yeah, so she's an out-of-state. Her name is Lauren McCluskey. She was on the track team. She's an out-of-state student, and she started dating this guy there who's like a bad person.
Okay.
And she found out he's a bad person, and she broke up with him, and he has her car.
Definitely. Let me give her a call real quick, and we will figure something out, okay?
Okay, so I'd just like someone to accompany her because a bunch of her friends are out of town. I don't want her to go there by herself and have like something bad happen to her.
Definitely. I will give her a call. Did you want me to give you a call back or
Yeah, if you could give me a call back, that'd be good.
Okay, what was your name?
Jill.
Jill?
I'm also 1042.
Okay.
I don't know.
Perfect. It's gonna be okay, Jill. Let me give Lauren a call real quick and figure something out with her, okay? Because that would be totally easy for us to send someone with her. I wouldn't want her to going into a bad situation by herself. So let me give her a call real quick. Yeah, no problem, Jill. I will give you a call back in a little bit, okay? Okay, thanks, Jill. Bye-bye.
Okay, to connect some dots there, what you heard was this is Jill, Lauren's mom. Jill is not in the state. Lauren's parents are from Washington, and so she was at the University of Utah as an out-of-state student. She was on, like we said before, she was on the track team, and she had met Melvin off campus. Melvin was not a student, and she discovered some things about Melvin. She discovered that he was a sex offender, registered sex offender, and had discovered this after the relationship had developed and had subsequently cut the relationship off with him. At the time that everything went down, Melvin had her car, and so they were in the process of trying to get the car back. Melvin was saying that his friend was going to drop it off and that they were coordinating something. Lauren had contacted her parents and said, hey, this is happening. Lauren hadn't put up the red flags that her mother was connecting, though. And so she makes the call to security to see if there's anything they can do. Fortunately, security's like, heck yeah, we got this. We can help. They need Lauren, though, to be a part of this. They can't just like impose security on Lauren.
Right.
So the next call is to Lauren from security. So here we go.
Hello?
Hi, is this Lauren?
Yeah.
Hi, this is University Police. I got a call from your mom about, I guess, a car drop-off that you're going to be doing, or someone dropping off your car, and she was a little bit worried about it. I was wondering if I can ask you a few questions and then maybe send someone with you or have someone meet you there when you're going to drop off the car.
Okay. Well, so I think the car will be dropped off.
Okay, so she said it was your ex-boyfriend's dropping off your car.
One of his friends. Yeah.
Okay, and sorry, he's dropping off where?
Well,
for some reason I thought she was saying the
I'm not
stadium.
sure. At first it was going to be at the stadium, but he was asking to drop it off at my place, so
okay.
I might just have it dropped off at one of the buildings by mine.
Do you live on campus?
So, yes.
Okay, and where do you live on campus? I'm assuming it's at the dorms? Okay, do you feel comfortable with him doing that? I know your mom was really concerned about it.
I think it's okay.
Okay, because if it's all right with you, I mean, we're here 24/7. I'm super cool. You could come hang out here and have him drop it off here. We have a parking lot on the east side of our building. It's the police department on campus. It's right by the South Stadium tracks. We could even have a security officer pick you up at your dorm and drop you off here so you can wait here for him to leave your vehicle. Especially, I mean, it sounds like, I mean, I don't know how you feel about the situation. I don't want to misinterpret just based off of what your mom was saying, but she definitely seemed worried about it. So if you wanted to and you felt comfortable, you could come hang out here with us. I mean, it's just a bunch of college kids here. I mean, there's some adults, obviously. We work for the police, but, you know, you can come hang out with us when he drops it off. Or I know she wanted someone to be there with you when the car gets dropped off, which would definitely make me feel more comfortable about that situation. But I don't want to put you out of your comfort zone. I know that's kind of weird, especially if you haven't dealt with the police before. Just having an officer hang out with you while someone drops off a car can be weird.
I think I would just want to have it dropped off here, but
okay,
I'll call if I need to.
Well, okay. Is it all right if I have a security officer at least in the area when it's getting dropped off in case you need anything?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, and what time is it getting dropped off?
5.
At 5?
Yeah.
Okay, and this is, what building did you say it was again? Okay, I'm looking at my map. It looks like the closest parking lot is the parking lot kind of in front of 825. It's like kitty-cornered.
Yeah.
Okay, is that going to be the closest parking lot, do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
And what type of car is it?
It's a Jeep Liberty. It's green.
Okay. And the guy who's dropping off, what's his name? And his last name?
Not sure what's the last.
Sorry, you cut out a little bit.
Let's see. I'm not sure what his last name is.
Okay. Do you know, is he a student on campus?
I don't believe so.
Okay. All right. So I will give my security officers just a little bit of heads up in case you need anything. And we'll go from there. If you change your mind last minute or anything like that, we have some really cool security officers. We have some new we have a couple of new cops on campus that are always looking for like extra stuff to do while they're finishing up their training. Anything like that, you just let me know, Lauren. My name's, and I'll be here until 6 p.m.
Okay.
So if you need anything, just let us know. It's the only other person working with me, so if you give us a call back at just the 585 COPS or 585-2677 number, and let us know, we can send someone out to help you, or anything you need. Especially if the situation gets uncomfortable, please don't hesitate to give us a call.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks,
Thank
Lauren.
you.
Bye-bye.
All right. So Lauren, they dropped this on Lauren, right?
I'm very anxious. I don't know this case. And I'm not Googling anything. So I'm like, my anxiety is like.
It was a little bit frustrating listening to that for a couple reasons. The first time I heard it, I was like, spit it out. Come on. But the more I thought about it, this wasn't a call she was making to security. This was out of the blue, right? They're like, hey, your mom called us. She's concerned.
Right.
And then Lauren now is having to do the whole navigation of, obviously there's a sense of alarm, there's a sense of alert that she has, but she's trying to mitigate the emotions between, okay, I don't want to sound scared and like a crazy person. So she was very measured in what she was saying. And you could see that as she was kind of very stop-start as she was going through the explanation on things. Now, another thing that happens, and just because she got out of a toxic relationship doesn't mean that she hadn't been in the relationship long enough or the relationship hadn't developed to the point where sometimes in a relationship, we don't see crazy level 10. We don't see it as fast as everybody else around us, right?
Mm-hmm.
It can be case in point in many abuse situations where an abused person, if they were to recount what's happening on a boring Tuesday in their life, it'd melt down somebody who's not in an abusive situation, being like, what, we need to, how can you be, it's so she's navigating that, right? She's lived in this, she's been with Melvin. She may or may not know Melvin's friend. So her sense of alarm maybe is a bit muted. Obviously, she's concerned. Obviously, she broke the relationship off because she knows this about Melvin now and she wants nothing to do with it. So there is an added element of caution. But when security calls you and is like, can we help? I'm sure to a normal college girl, it's like, okay, I don't want to make a bigger deal out of this than it has to be.
Right.
It caught her off guard.
And to a mother, your something off ometer or whatever you want to call it is.
Yeah. Your radar
is more peaked. Yeah. Your radar is like more peaked than a younger college student coming fresh out of an abusive relationship. So
right.
It is a weird, awkward conversation, but I need to hear what else happens.
Yeah. To your point about the mom, if you factor in the fact that she's lived, I would presume, her whole life with Lauren and knows Lauren inside and out. And so regardless if Lauren is 100% peaked on her level of alarm, mother is hearing the signs of a daughter that is not in a good situation and is trying to navigate those waters from another state. So I got to give it to this campus security. Like, I love them. I love them.
She was trying to be relatable and chill.
Yeah.
And yeah.
It's also interesting to think of that campus security, in this case at least, is the fudgy layer between the victim cake and the police, which that relationship sometimes, especially on a college campus, a relationship between students and police, maybe tentative at best, And so having campus campus police, which are a bit, like you said, a little bit more relatable. I think she even said on that, she's like, you could come hang out here. We're pretty cool.
Yeah.
And they're realizing, hey, we dropped this call on her. We got to kind of, make her feel comfortable.
Mhm.
So now security is like, okay, let's update mom, which I'm like, oh, I love you even more.
Yes.
So here's security contacting mom to give her a bit of peace of mind, which I got to imagine they don't have to do, but they are doing it, which I love. So here we go.
Hello?
Hi, is this Jill?
Yes.
Hey, Jill, this is with campus police. I'm the person you spoke with before. So I just got off the phone with Lauren. I let her know that we had talked about the situation. I told her I thought it might be easiest if she just come hang out with us here at the police department and he can drop off the car here. Because that way she's hanging out indoors with us. I mean, it's good lighting. I don't know how
That would be great. That would be great.
She didn't seem thrilled about that idea. She said she would prefer it be dropped off at her dorm. I offered to send someone up to hang out with her. She said she would just let me know if she needed anything. So I got her dorm number.
It sounds like she doesn't want to change the plans that they already made.
Yeah.
So his friend made some plans, but I'm so worried about it that something's going to happen to her.
I did, and I don't want to do anything without her permission, but I did let her know, even though I'm not technically assigning someone, I am going to tell the security officers where she is and what time it's going to be dropped off. And I just told her up front, I am going to send someone to walk around that area while it's happening. So I gave her our number, I gave her my name, and let her know to call back, especially if the situation gets weird and she needs help. But I am going to send security officers either way just to walk around.
Yeah, she's dealing with a bad person who lied to her.
Yeah.
And it's hard because she was dating him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I know. I know exactly. That's unfortunately a pretty common occurrence on campus. So I'm going to send them, but unless she wants someone there or unless she wants to come down here, which I know that's weird for most young college students, but I did give her the option. That would be really easy for us, but I'll still them in the area at least.
Yes, so thank you, and thank you so much that you're looking out for her.
Yeah, no problem, Jill.
Okay.
Give me a call back if you have any questions or need anything else. Again, you can just ask for me by name. I'll be here until 6 p.m. And I let your daughter know as well that if she feels comfortable calling back and talking to me, I'll be here until 6 after the drop-off.
So it's supposed to happen at 5, so that would be perfect.
Yep. Sounds good. I will let my security officers know right now.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem. Thanks, Jill. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Cool. Yay. I'm glad they did that. Even if nothing else, they were being proactive about giving this mother peace of mind. She's out of state. She knows her daughter, and she also knows that her daughter's probably not going to try to make a big deal out of this, right? One thing that I was thinking about as we were listening to that is one thing. I am so glad that these resources are available to people and that they're easy to get in and out of, that there's not a lot of cumbersome navigation to find campus security and everything, that they make them readily available. It would be so much more difficult if when you called the number and you're talking to the person, while you're talking to them, it was interrupted by ads. like a podcast, because we got to pay the bills.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't like ads, you can listen to the uncut version of this and never listen to an ad again. So if this is the moment where you're like, this is the last ad I ever want to listen to.
Okay. Yep.
Support us, Feed Bean Bean.
Just play the ad.
Here's some ads. All right, we're back. So where do things go from here? If you're campus security, mom called you, you called Lauren, you gave her some options. She's kind of like, yeah, all right, but not really. but thanks, but kind of no thanks, but yeah, I'll let you know. You call mom back, you give her some peace of mind. The next thing to do if you're a smart campus security is we should let the authorities on campus know what's going on and that they should be, if nothing else, informed of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe roam the area during the time, you know. Let's set something up that looks cash. Doesn't look like we're, you know, gonna break down a door. So that's what security does here. Campus security contacts the campus police. And here is the short but effective call to campus police.
Bill?
Hi, this is Campus 112.
Hey.
Hey,
How are you?
so, sorry, this is, I'm barging in on this call because I'm the one who wanted you to call. So I wanted to make you guys aware of a situation tonight at this girl doesn't want officers to respond, and she didn't want to come down here, but her mom called to tell us about it. I guess her ex-boyfriend is dropping off her car there because they broke up, and he needs to leave her car there at 5 p.m. I think it's lot 73. This girl doesn't want police to go to do a keep the peace or anything like that, but her mom said that her ex-boyfriend's actually a sex offender, and he lied about his age and lied about being a student on campus and all this stuff. So she said at 5 p.m. she would like someone to be nearby in case something happens, but this girl, her name's Lauren, she said she doesn't want anyone to be there, and I said, well, I'm going to let security know anyway so that they can be nearby. I think she said it's a green Jeep.
And do we need to keep the key? How is it going to be?
No, they're going to do the exchange themselves, I guess. He's going to pull up. She's going to be outside. He's going to hand her the keys and then leave.
Okay.
But it is going to be a green Jeep Liberty pulling up there at 5. And I just let her know, like, expect for some security officers to be nearby. I'm not going to, tell them to go and talk to you and stuff, but they're going to be driving around at least.
Yes, that's okay. So, again, the girl, she's picking up the key, and
so
we just don't need to do anything unless it's something abnormal happens.
Exactly, yeah, and I'll radio you if we get a call. I told her to call if it gets weird. It'll be right in front of in the corner of the parking lot, but if you just want to keep an eye in the area, especially if you see it get strange, the mom was really worried that her daughter was going to get hurt tonight. I don't think he's been physical in the past. They've never reported anything in the past, but her mom was really worried about showing up. So
I'll be watching that.
Cool.
So in a way, we don't want to overburden the police department and everything, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that police, especially campus police, would encourage this type of a thing to be like, hey, this might be kind of awkward, what's happening. So if you're in the area, that would be great. Oftentimes I got to believe that campus police is probably similar to other police experiences, which is it's got high highs and low lows and a lot of boredom in the middle. Mm-hmm. And so giving them the opportunity to serve and protect even in an off, an arm's length way is great. And they seemed very pro, yeah, let's do this. So that was good. That was encouraging. So an interesting thing happens next. Lauren calls campus security back. So remember, campus security's been like, we're gonna make sure she's safe regardless. But then Lauren calls campus security back. So let's hear that.
Hi. So this is Lauren. We talked a while ago.
Lauren. Yeah, what's up?
So, yeah. So there's kind of a change of plans. I'm actually going to the stadium to get my car.
Okay.
And I was wondering if I could get a ride to the stadium. Is that okay?
Definitely, yeah, for sure. We have a security officer that's just in charge of escorts tonight, so I could have him give you a ride. Do you want him to wait with you as well when the car's getting dropped off?
That would be great.
Okay, definitely, yeah. I'll just give him a heads up. I'll have him hang tight there, and then if you want to grab the keys or whatever, he'll just wait until you, get into your car and stuff and drive away and just make sure everything's okay, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Sounds good, Lauren. And then just give us a call back when you're ready to go down there, and we'll send them out there to meet you, okay?
Sounds good.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay. So that's good. Chase is in the back door. People are like, where have I heard this before? And he's like, Sword and Scale. Like, yeah, well, we can't all have, it's hard to find a heavy hitter case that hasn't been covered by anybody. And also, I can guarantee you that Sword and Scale probably did a better job. So once you're done here, go and check out Sword and Scale's version of this case.
There's always going to be overlap. Anyway.
There's going to be overlap. That's
okay,
right.
so she asked for a ride. Then what?
She asked for a ride. So
I'm on the edge of my seat here.
So if you're this proactive, you're this proactive campus security, Lauren calls you and she's like on board now. The next thing you do is you're like, we got to let mom know. We got to let mom know because mom's got this hole in her heart about this whole thing. And she knows that her daughter kind of just turned us away. So let's call, well, here's how it goes. Here's how it goes. I'll just play the call.
University Police and Security, how can I help you? This is,
Jill, Lauren's mom.
Hi.
Hi. So did she call you back?
She did. She called me back and said that there was going to be a change of plans. They'd be going down to the stadium, and a security officer is going to pick her up at her dorm and drive her down
wonderful.
there. And then
Wonderful,
he'll wait with her until she gets her car.
Okay. Yeah, because I think the reason she said no at first was that the guy's friend was saying that she was really judgmental, that he was a bad guy, you know, and that she asked for the car to be dropped off at her dorm.
Yeah.
And they said no, that she was being very judgmental and they would drop it off at the stadium. And then I was just worried that like something bad was going to happen to her.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like she's okay with that security officer hanging out with her until she's in her car. So I'm going to let him know just to wait there until she gets in and drives away.
Okay, so perfect. So thanks so much. I just wanted to make sure that was happening. Because I feel like he has a little bit of control over her.
Oh, definitely.
You know that something bad could happen. You know. And,
yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I was there at one point too. Young college kids don't always make the best decisions, but it sounds like she's got a good mom watching out for her. So it's
so she's 21, and this is an older guy who like lied about his age to her.
Yeah.
And so thank you for looking out for her. Cause, I think she's having a hard time.
Definitely.
So thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem, Jill. You can call back if you need anything else, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, heartwarming. You know, everybody's in the know. Everybody's in the loop. Everybody knows what's going on now.
Okay.
And then just update. They go, let the cops know. Here's that update.
Campus 112.
Go for Campus 112.
112, there's been a change of plans on that citizen assist or keep the peace. The complainant called back. She said she's going to call for an escort around 5, and she'll need a ride down to the stadium and then for someone to wait with her until she leaves with the vehicle.
Copy. Just let us know about the escort then.
Copy.
Okay. Everybody's teed up. Everybody's ready for this handoff. Everybody's in the know now. Lauren then calls campus security.
University Police and Security, how can I help you?
Hi, Laura's just supposed to get a ride to the stadium.
Definitely. Is it
to pick up my car.
Lauren?
This is Lauren. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And can I have an officer meet you on the north side of your building at the parking lot?
Which side is that?
Sorry, it's the side. It's that parking lot just in front of 825 and 826.
Oh, okay, sounds good.
Perfect. I'll send them out right now.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Okay. Things are coordinated. What do you do if you're campus security? You update mom.
Yeah, I just wanted to give you a heads up. I just wanted to let you know that we did have our officer pick up Lauren. We had him wait with her while she found the key, and then I watched her drive away on the cameras. So
Yeah, so she texted me too that she got the car back. So thank you so much. You guys are so wonderful. I so much appreciate it.
No problem. You have a good night, Jill.
Yeah, I just want to follow up. Thank you.
No problem.
Bye.
And that's 911 Calls Podcast. Thank you for
What?
successful car handoff. Just kidding. The story continues. So everything went like clockwork.
Okay.
Campus security was dialed in. The police were there for the assist. She got the car. She gets it. Everybody witnessed her drive away. Everything's fine. Everything's good. And then on the 12th of October, Lauren received a series of strange texts. And she was like, oh. But now she was comfortable with the authorities and knew that they were a resource for her. So she thought she'd give them a call back and give them an update on this sitch. So here's that call.
University Police and Security, how can I help you?
Hi, this is Lauren. I called a few days ago about a situation, and I wanted to kind of give an update and ask about some things. So it was like, well, basically, so.
Did you make a report?
I did not.
Okay, so you called a couple days ago about a situation you wanted to follow up on?
Well, I guess it's kind of a different situation, but it's related in a way.
Okay,
but,
so you didn't make a report. Did you talk to a police officer?
So I had a security person drive me to pick up my car. Because I was worried about getting it. So what happened? What happened was that, so I got the car and that was fine, but from one of my ex's friends. But so he and then some other, I've been getting these texts from these numbers that of different people saying that they were saying that he was in the hospital and then saying that that he passed away. But then I got a text from him and he seems to be alive. So and then I got a text about, asking if I wanted to go to his funeral. And I think they're trying to lure me somewhere.
So you got a bunch of texts seeming like they're trying to get you to go somewhere.
First it was just saying...
Okay, where did you receive the text
kind of
at? Where do you live?
So I live at...
Okay. And when did this happen?
So the latest one was today.
When did it start?
Yesterday.
At about what
was
time?
when they were saying that he was at the hospital. I think around 7 p.m.
And what time this afternoon was the last one?
Around.
Hello?
It was around 3 p.m.
3 p.m.? Okay.
Yes.
And this is all your ex's friends?
Right.
And are these just text messages?
Yes.
Okay, and are they threatening text messages?
Well, most of them no, but I mean they've told me not to go where at the club where he used to work.
Okay, and is there a protective order between you guys, or is he just an ex of yours?
Just an ex.
Okay. And are you trying to avoid him? Or not necessarily?
I would say it's more just his friends.
Okay. Will you spell your last name for me?
Yes. McCluskey.
What's your first name?
Lauren, Lauren.
All right, what's a good phone number for you? All right, where are you right now?
Right now I'm at home.
Okay, and have you asked them to stop texting you?
I have not, but I've blocked a few of the numbers already.
All right. I will send this through an officer to give you a call. He's going to give you a call on that last phone number that you gave me. Is that okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, perfect. I'll have somebody call you shortly.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, bye.
Okay. We've all been here before in one way or another. Have you ever been in one of those situations where you explain the whole enchilada to somebody, and then whether this happens in doctor's offices, an ER visit where you tell the nurse what happened, and then the doctor comes in, you got to repeat the whole thing, and you got to sound just as as concerned as you were the first. Remember first day of third grade, when every single class you went to, they made you fill out your name and all the information 400 times in a day, or like high school. Anyway, the point is, you can hear it in her voice when she calls campus security, and suddenly this is a fresh new voice with zero context. They're not looking anything up. Mm-hmm. They're not connecting any dots. They don't stop her at any point and be like, oh, okay, I see your report here. I see your case. However, so the case was documented. It just, this new person wasn't connecting the dots. And what the thing that frustrates as you listen to it is that the qualifying questions that the dispatcher was asking were all correct, but Lauren kept kind of knocking them down as not important. Like, was this associated with it? Well, it's kind of another thing. It's another thing. And
yeah.
And so fresh to the phone call and context free, this dispatcher is just hearing a story of a gal who's got an ex who she's getting some pestering text messages. And then I think they're trying to lure me somewhere, which fresh as its own concept and topic comes across a little bit like, okay, is it really as bad? I'm not saying the dispatcher didn't believe her, but you could see that, like, if somebody just called and said, I think someone's trying to lure me, I'm getting random texts from people, and you'd be kind of like, yeah, okay, yeah. But connected to the situation she had before, suddenly a whole new ball game, right?
Yeah. And
you can hear it in Lauren's voice. You can hear that kind of like, oh, I have to say all this again. I don't know, like, where are we at?
Right.
So then security, again, great job. They contact the campus police with an update on this situation. So here's that.
For a telephonic threat.
Go ahead.
Alpha 62, this happened to the caller says her ex-boyfriend is texting her messages threatening to explode an explicit photo in exchange for money over email and text. Email was received around
6 or 7 a.m. Text was received around 8 a.m. Sean Rowland around age 37. The caller made an information report yesterday under case number 18-1861. The caller's information is exact.
Okay, so if you couldn't hear it, what was happening there was this was campus security contacting the police saying that things had escalated. On the 13th of October, she received a text from Melvin threatening to release a photograph online of the pair of them, of the two of them, if she didn't pay him $1,000. So she did it. And then campus security calls the police about this. And then we are on to the next call, which is the cops then, as they should, follow up with Lauren. So here's that call.
University 911, what is your emergency?
Hey, it's City. She's got a case number pending, but she's receiving additional blackmail threats. She lives in Bill. This is all I got from her so far, but she does have a case number. She's on the line.
Okay.
So the case number is 18-1861.
1861? Okay. Okay, give me 1 second, okay?
Okay.
Hi, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay, so I opened up your call from yesterday, is that correct?
Yes, you did.
Okay. All right, what's going on?
Well, I came in earlier today, and I filled out a report for the threat, or
You came into our building?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I called 911 because I was just concerned and I wasn't sure. I thought it might help speed things up. I don't know.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Okay. Yeah, if you call 911, the call will just come back to us and do the exact same thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so...
You know...
Sorry. No, you can go ahead.
Do you know when an arrest would be made?
You can talk to an officer if you want. I can arrange that if you want that.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, is that all you're wanting to know? Or did you want to add more onto your report?
That's all.
Okay. Give me 1 second, okay?
Okay, thanks. Hello?
Hi, I'm still here. Give me just 1 second, okay?
Oh, okay.
Hi, are you still there?
Hi, yes.
Okay, so I got my officer. He, I believe he's the same one that took the original report yesterday. So he's going to give you a call, okay?
Okay.
All right, thanks for calling.
Thanks.
Bye.
Okay. Things start to dilapidate a bit here. She's making multiple calls now. The situation's becoming more worrisome. Now it's blackmail, right? Over the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got a case that's pending. They're doing everything they can. She asks, when would an arrest happen? They're giving her as much information as they can. So fast forward 9 days. Now remember, this happened on October 13th, 2018. And we're now on October 22nd, 2018. Around 3 p.m., Melvin creeps into Lauren's apartment building waiting for her. And Lauren returns home at about 8:20 p.m. And then Melvin confronts her in the parking lot outside of her apartment. Lauren at the time was on the phone with her mom. And fortunately, I think because she was on the phone with her mom, but they were on speakers so that her mom and her dad could both be talking to her. So her dad, Matt McCluskey, hears the phone call. The phone call gets cut off, and Matt calls 911 campus security. And here's that call.
Security, how can I help you?
Hi, is this the University of Utah?
This is. How can I help you?
Okay. This is a dispatch center in the state of Washington. I have a 911 call to transfer you. Hold on one moment, please.
Okay.
Sir, are you still there?
Hi.
Okay, you're on the phone with the dispatch for the University of Utah.
Hi, this is Chris with the University of Utah Police.
Hi, my daughter, Lauren McCluskey, was talking to her mom, and then she just started saying, no, 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 no. And it sounded like someone might have been grabbing her or something.
Okay. How long ago was this?
This was just 2 minutes ago.
Okay.
Phil, can you come down here?
Does she live on campus?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, listen.
Okay, and what's her name?
Lauren McCluskey.
Okay, will you spell that last name for me?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, will you spell the last name for me?
Yep. McCluskey.
Okay. Okay, and what's her date of birth? Okay. And you said the phone line went dead?
Yeah, the phone line went dead.
Okay, have you tried calling her back?
No, I'm sorry. The phone is not dead, but we can't. She must have dropped it, and the phone connection is still here. Do you want the number? Or?
Yes, please. Open. Okay, and do you happen to know what building or room number she lives in?
I'm sorry?
Okay. So Matt McCluskey calls the police. They're scrambling to get the information, the details. Things hadn't been fully baked yet with the capture of, the arrest of, or any finalization with her case at this point. When police arrived, Lauren had been shot to death, and her body was found in a parked car near her apartment on campus. The information was given to the news, and the news ran the story right away. And later that night, a woman who had met up with Melvin, having met on a dating site, called the police after recognizing her date from the events that night. Calls the police and reported to the police where he was. The police find Melvin hiding in Trinity African Methodist Episcopal Church. And as the police came into the building, Melvin shot himself to death. So this one is so frustrating because everybody did exactly what they should. Everybody did exactly what they should. The only thing I can see that was a potential flaw in the process is that between her phone call about the blackmail and the events of her death, there were so many days. where was the case during those days? So campus police had done it. Campus dispatchers had done everything they could. Campus police did everything they could. Who takes the case from there and does the investigation on Melvin and arrests Melvin and everything? Is that campus police? Is that city PD? How does that roll?
I don't know.
Wherever that was, that's where I see the breakdown here.
You don't know that someone is that messed up. Like,
yeah, right.
That they could do. If you're a sexual predator, violent crime, like, you can do one without the other. Like, you don't know.
Right.
She probably hadn't known this person that long, you know.
And
he's a piece of shit.
Everything that's built this case is based on phone calls, right? No one on the police or the protection side of this thing has met Melvin because he wasn't there for the transfer.
Right.
He was nowhere to be found. He's a ghost as far as they're concerned. So what they're going on are the reports, are the calls, are the case that's being built against him. And then I don't know the best way to put this except for between the 13th and the 22nd, I hate to say it, she's not one of the Clintons, so she doesn't get her own personal detail until further notice, right?
Right.
That's days and days and days and days where nothing's happening. The case is being developed. It's blackmail over the phone. And then this happens. And then he kills himself like an absolute coward. There isn't good closure.
No, a parent's worst nightmare.
Parent's worst nightmare. Parent's worst nightmare. So this case brought up a lot of questions in my mind, and I wanted to be able to feed some people with anxiety and stress. Maybe they're dealing with situations like this where the police can only do as much as they can do, blah, blah, blah. You've heard it all before. You've heard it on every true crime podcast you've ever listened to. But the one thing that I don't think a lot of people know is what recourse do you have in between saying that guy did this to me, arrest him? What recourse do you have between that and this guy just kind of creeps me out? Like, what can you do so that, one, you can remain anonymous, two, you don't feel like you're overburdening the police with fake, false reports or overblown information, or you're nervous or you're unsure, you're not sure if you're a victim, or were you complicit, which you hear in abuse cases, you hear it in rape cases, you hear it in all these cases, and people are worried about coming forward for a myriad number of reasons. But can anything be done between putting the finger on somebody so that they're arrested and then your name's involved? Is there anything ahead of that could be done? And there is. And I wanted to get it from the horse's mouth, so I thought we'd reach out to my friend Adam the cop. And so we're going to give him a call and get the answers on what they can do, what somebody can do with the police ahead of trying to build a case where somebody is arrested, charged, hopefully thrown into court and convicted, sentenced, blah, blah, blah. What can you do? So let's give Adam the cop a call.
Hello?
Oh, hi. It's me.
Oh, hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how are you? What are you? Am I catching you off guard at all? Are you shooting anybody in the face right now or something?
No, I'm just watching a bad guy. Hold on, let me turn my radio down.
Okay. Yeah, we don't want to hear. We don't want to be part of a crime scene. So good idea. Well, before I've got a question for you that's burning a hole in my pocket. But before that, how are you? How are things? What you been doing?
Just came back from a funeral for an officer that was killed. So it was a long drive, like 12 and a half hours. So
was it out of state?
Yeah, it was up in Washington area, in the Seattle area.
Really?
Trooper he was killed by a drunk driver on the side of the road.
No.
So yeah, young cop, like 27 years old, and his left behind a wife and a little kid, and so just returned home from that. Oh,
I'm sorry. I would say I would say this is probably a bad time then, so I could call you back. But I have a really big podcast to do.
You're kind of important guy, aren't you?
I'm sort of a big deal. I didn't want to say it, but yeah. So I'm glad you said. So here's a question on that. It's out of state. I don't want to sound insensitive, but what the heck? How do you? Why did you? I mean, obviously, if I can understand like the outpouring of support and everything, but what is the mechanism that makes it so if a police officer in another state, 10 police departments separated from you, how do you drive there and be part, like, what is that? What's that all about?
So we drive there on the roads.
Oh, okay.
Police car. So the big thing is just to, whenever you go to these, I've been to a lot of them. As part of one of my duties that I do is that you show up, you start doing the practice, and then when people who the community sees people from my area, out of state, I mean, there's officers from literally all across the country, from Alaska to Florida, were there. That support, that it goes beyond just your local area. It actually, those borders of, it doesn't have really a border. There's Canadians there. And so the community, the department, and especially the family feels that love and that support. It doesn't matter where you're at. We are there to support you and love you and help bring some calm to that chaos in your life.
Holy cow. So do you do this on your own volition, or is this like, do police departments, like, I'm sure, I'm just kind of putting it in my head, like if I were at HP and a friend of mine had a deadly printer accident at another printer company, I probably couldn't go to my manager and be like, hey, I got to take 3 days off. I got to go to Lexmark. And so how does that work? Like, does the police department know that this is like sanctioned? I don't know if sanction's the right word.
So it's within policy. We have a policy. We have an entire unit, our honor guard unit, that goes and different honor guard units throughout the state. And I mean, they're all across the country. In fact, honor guard is a worldwide entity within the police department. It's we do things on a lot of times on volunteer, or we flex our time. So it's kind of a day for day. If I'm gone for 3 days, that means I flex 3 days off of my normal work day. But I'm still 3 days away from my family and my work I have to get done. But it's something that all honor guard members are willing to sacrifice to try to help a little bit in the craziness of a funeral. And then also when you show up and these people are like, holy smokes, you just drove X amount of hours to be here, that means a lot. And people take that and they remember that for the rest of their life.
Yeah, I'm getting a little choked up thinking of, I mean, I couldn't imagine being the family and having police officers from around the nation showing up and being like, that would mean a lot. I guess I'm feeling a little bit, because you know that my ex-wife's husband, Justin, he's a police officer, and so it hits home a little bit. He's a really good cop. I like probably the second best cop I know.
Who's the first?
Well, it's good, and having you as my best friend is a thing as well. Knowing that your family would be met with that same, I got a little teary there. Sorry, that your family would be met with the same support. That's awesome.
Probably at least 5 people would show up for me. So
yeah. But what I would do is I would just I'd have a taco truck out front. So
you'd get 10, 20 people there then.
Yeah, we'd get some audience. It'd be a lot of construction workers and, just the local school,
Those are my people though,
the high school kids would, empty out to come over and be like, what's going on? So it's called honor guard then. So that's the kind of the mechanism, the engine behind that support.
Yes. Yep. So yeah, we all dress up nice and look good and then perform these, I don't know if the ritual is not the right word, but kind of a standard of things that we do, flag folds and saluting and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of a standard across the board, bagpipes and drums and the whole fanfare of things, just to show love and support. And it's awesome to be part of. And when family members come up afterwards, or you get to see the department or the community. I mean, I've had old ladies like, "You drove this long? I'm buying you breakfast." And we're down in Las Vegas or something, and like, that means so much to me. And she's like in tears. And so it's something that even though you're there to serve, but it's I get a ton of self reward out of it, just serving and helping people.
I love that. Wow. I kind of had no idea. I mean, I knew that you took off every once in a while to go to this kind of thing, but I didn't know that it was to that level. So I appreciate you taking a little time to explain that. That's not why I called though, Adam. So let's, okay. So I don't know.
Well, thanks.
I would normally
Enough about me. How about you?
Enough about you. How about me? I have a similar organization that I put together called Opera Guard. It's for people to support me directly in life, not just in death, in life. And it doesn't have a lot of members, but you're a member emeritus. I don't know if I ever told you that you were sworn in as a member when during our hiking with bullets. That's when I did it. You were sleeping, but it's fine. I'm not going to hold you to any of the information that you give or any answers you give me as far as the questions I ask, because I know that policy can be a moving target. It varies state by state. There's a whole lot of nuances to this stuff. But as I was going through the episode, which I was really upset to find out that you weren't live on the backdoor access for this time, but you were at a funeral. So we'll talk, we'll make up for lost time. But on this episode, there was some makeup that seemed familiar to our area here where I'm recording from, where you're sitting in a car. I think you're on a stakeout, so hope you're hydrated. But we have a university in town. We've got Boise State University, a big-ish university. It has on campus security and a police. And first question is really probably a simple question, but are campus police part of the local PD?
Like Boise State, they contract with the local police department, and then they have security guards. They don't have police powers, but they act for the university. So they can trespass people, they can press charges on behalf of the university. They kick people off campus, issue summons for, let's say, alcohol, but it's not a criminal or a infraction. It could be something to do with punishment at the school itself. So there are police officers who are sworn police officers who work there 24 hours a day, and so they have all the police powers to do and respond and carry guns and all that fun stuff.
So in a situation where so in a lot of those situations, some of those situations, then there's not a middleman necessarily. Like if campus security has something going on, that dispatch can contact you, and it's direct as if the police first responders were showing up to a situation, and it's not like there's not some middleman that has to create paperwork and then it goes to you guys. But in some cases, if it's what you're saying, or the security, they may generate documentation or paperwork or something, and then it's handed off as a case to the police department if there's additional criminal. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, and so they work hand in hand. A lot of times they go together on the same call. So if they got a party in one of the dorms, they'll go together because they have to fill out separate paperwork. One goes to the university, one another side goes to the courts. So if there's like a noise disturbance or something like that, or underage drinking or whatever, so that's going to go to the court side. But they're also, if you get too many of those on campus, you can get kicked out of school. So that's handled by the security side. And a lot of times, like I said, they go together on things. But campus security will handle like alarms, or if they're, we have what called our blue phones.
Yeah.
So like little 911 phones throughout the campus, little safety things. If there's a 911 hang up, they'll respond to those and just check them, because there's it's not a huge police force down there, 1 or 2 cops at a time, but they can call in and all the other forces can come in from all the other agencies if they needed help. But so to kind of alleviate all the work for just 1 or 2 police officers, the security will do that smaller tasks.
Okay. On the call that you, I've sent you the call, but on the call that you aren't completely privy to, and I think I'm actually kind of happy that you haven't heard it yet, because I want to get your take on this without the dint of this particular situation. But long story short, a girl breaks up with a guy. One of the driving reasons is she finds out he's a sex offender. I can't confirm if he was registered. I'm sure he was a registered sex offender, but whether or not he had registered in the area, I don't know. But she found out about it, and that was just justification for her to break the relationship off. They go through this dance of kind of this coordinated dance with campus security and the campus police in retrieving her car from him through a friend and whatnot. It was this beautiful orchestration. It gave me, I was really happy to see that. And I think a lot of parents who have kids on campus, when they hear this, they'll be like, okay, some of these campuses have really good systems at work. And it was relieving to hear. Where there was a bit of a sticking point is not a bit of a sticking point, but a sticking point was there was this gap, and relatively understandable, where there was eyes on her and some security presence on the 13th of the month back in 2018 for her. But I said it on the episode, she didn't have a presidential detail, so they can't just like stay with her all the time. So 9 days passed, and this guy shows up, sneaks into her apartment, hides in her apartment, waits for her to come home several hours. And then she comes home and he meets her in the parking lot. In the interim in there, the way it plays out in the news and the information that I got, they were building a case against him, but hadn't gone as far as apprehending him or detaining him or anything to that effect. And it got me thinking, and there's been other cases in my personal life where I've seen somebody who's been victimized. And it reminded me a lot of this, because if you listen to all the calls, everything kind of worked out. She thinks he's a creep, obviously, but the orchestrated effort with the security and the police, it worked out. She got her car back. And even as she was getting mysterious text messages, and she's, we can all presume they were from him, being even more of a creep. And then finally blackmail, where he was going to upload a picture of her if she didn't pay $1,000, which she did. All of that, everything, the police had been as present as possible, it seems, with the exception, and I'm not being critical, but with the exception of an investigation being rounded out or activated to the point where they could do something against him to protect her further, or humans from this man further. But 9 days later, he finds a way to kill her. So my question is this. We've either been in a situation, or we know somebody who's been in a situation where, like this, it's not scorched earth. She's looking at getting a car back. She's creeped out. She's uncomfortable, and she needs some protection, some help. Nothing. She could. There was nothing about it for her to go as far as to say, I need a protection order against this guy or anything like that. But definitely a lot of red flags, right? And then she gets the car back, and it all went fine. But then she gets the blackmail, and could have proceeded with a protection order. I believe that could have been part of the process that was underway against him. But my question is, if we're talking like 1 to 10, 1 being totally passive, not going to do anything about it, and 10 filing charges against somebody like this, coming front and center, being fully exposed as a victim with a perpetrator like this, and the cops doing everything they can to just throw the book at him. What can somebody do so that for both themselves and for others who may come in contact with somebody who is a perpetrator, what can somebody do in the interim where if they still want to maintain anonymity or they're not interested? We've heard it all over the place. You know, the victim of a rape feels that maybe they were complicit, and so they don't want to file charges or they don't follow through with it. Or the victim of abuse is in that situation where, well, I asked for it, or all the myths, right, which keep them from doing something. And then some of the harsh reality, which is, yeah, I could go file charges on the abuser, but as soon as I do that, it makes the situation worse. And then I really get beat up. So what are some of the efforts that a victim can make, maybe from a good, better, best standpoint, where good is they can maintain as much anonymity as possible and still have something on record to better, maybe they're revealing themselves a little more, and then best, obviously, charges filed, blah, blah, blah. Is there anything that somebody can do that so that they're putting that person's name and identity in the database?
Nope. So thanks for the call. Ruin your whole episode. No. So there's a lot, right? You're 1 to 10. There's a lot of things. Some people don't report it. They ignore it and they think it's going to go away. And each situation, I'll kind of give a caveat here. Each situation is different, right? Sometimes ignoring it may be the answer and it goes away and law enforcement doesn't have to be involved at all. And other times it may be if you involve all the law enforcement in the world, it's ultimately up to you to protect yourself. So,
okay,
I had this conversation with a lot of different people, from people in my family who have come forward and said, "Hey, I've actually been." They were super embarrassed about it, but they're like, I was in a situation, I was raped, and I felt like I put myself in that situation. I knew better, and then they started blaming themselves, completely. And I had to stop them and say, hey, listen, you're in a situation, but it doesn't mean that it's an excuse for them to go do this to you. And so what I told my family member was, hey, make a report. You don't have to press charges at that time, meaning that you can just document it. Put in a report. That way it's out there, and say there may be another case out there on this guy, or this may be the first time and you may be helping somebody out later on down the road. You may not, or you may have to go forward and testify if you want to press charges. You may have to go through the whole court thing. That's your 10. But your 1 is you can ignore it and hopefully it goes away. I don't like that, just because you are asking for help and it's obviously bad enough that you're already asking for some opinions. You're already looking at ways to get out of the situation. It's not a good situation to be in. And if you're already there, then a number 1 in ignoring it is pretty unsuccessful. So there's a couple things you can do. Number 1, you can, so like in this case, you're talking about somebody who's constantly sending text messages. There's nobody else who could be. He's changing his number all the time. He's now extorting, probably, I'm guessing some inappropriate pictures or pictures that he has. And now he's starting to escalate. And when you start seeing that escalation, that's some major warning signs. And that's where you need to actually kind of step up to protect yourself, getting a protection order or restraining order. filing charges for stalking, or whatever your state code or your city code that fits that type of stuff. Because it's, as a normal person and as a citizen, if you look at that and it's shocking, if it's like shocking to the senses, if it's where you can look at it and you go, doesn't seem right. There's probably a code out there that's going to fit that will help you.
And you don't. And so one being ignore it. We've moved on. Maybe we're like in the 2 to 5 area now with these. So another thing is, you don't have to be a lawyer, right? You don't have to know which code fits. When you go to the police, you know your stuff. So as long as you're clear with your story, they can go, okay, well, that would fall under this, or this. These are your options.
Yep. And here's the big thing is being 100% honest, even if it brings, like, you're like, oh man, this is embarrassing, I don't want to say it. But if you're 100% honest to the officer, he's like, oh, well, that actually fits in here really well, that he's starting to make you do things that you don't want to do. Or she, I've had it both ways. So it doesn't matter the sex. I've had it both ways. And so it's important to make sure you're honest, and then we can determine what level. If they're using weapons, that's a felony in the state of Idaho. If they are, if they have a protection order and they continue to stalk you, that's a felony. I mean, you're looking at some serious crime, and it's pretty serious because of the ramifications. If we don't do anything, if he's not stopped or she's not stopped, a lot of times there's violence that comes along with it. That's why it's taken so seriously. So, I mean, getting a protection order is good.
I think one of the things that we brought up right before we started recording, which we're touching on now, is when you're the victim, there are some unknowns that you have that maybe you're not even aware of. For example, the situation you're in seems very personal and immediate. However, for all you know, there could be others who have preceded you with this person. Most likely, this isn't a one-off if we're talking about somebody escalating to the point where they either weapons or blackmail or something to that nature is in effect. There may already be things on the book, which you could buy a background check and see, but go into your being forthright and going in and starting this process, you may find that you are not the first victim, and that you're actually moving the ball forward in helping to secure a conviction against a perpetrator who knows how to stay just outside of reach. Would that be fair to say?
Absolutely. Just an example, last year I had a case where I found this guy with a handgun. And so he can't have a handgun because he's a felon. And so I began to do some research. I didn't know who he was. I began to do some research, and he had three different domestic violence charges with 3 different women with a black handgun, where he used this black handgun to commit these crimes. And unfortunately, at the time that they was interviewed and talked to, he's like, "Oh, I don't have this handgun. I never had this handgun." I found him with a handgun and tied it all together, that these 3 different victims now have a case. Now we have 3 different serious crimes that are being prosecuted against this guy. It's because they made those reports. I was able to tie all 3 together. And so that's important because, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, so connecting that, I'm going to make a bit of a straw man here, but those 3 people that had filed reports before, they weren't ignoring it. They weren't 1. They were maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that range.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about them really quick, because that's going to be kind of the fluffy hair that grows on every situation where we're not quite sure where the bottom of the situation is. In those situations, could one of the information that you dredged up on this guy, could any of those reports have been filed by somebody anonymously? First, I guess, to ask. So could a victim have come and filed a report and done it anonymously, and you stumbled across their name in that report?
Well, and some things are like where I work is if I can have, let's say a dad knows his daughter is getting abused, by her spouse. He can come forward and say, hey, I know this by X, Y, and Z, and bring forward a lot of evidence. And then we can go talk to the daughter, and she can go pound sand. You have nothing. I'm not talking to you. That happens way more than people realize.
Oh, I'm sure.
So she's actually not being a reporting party, but the dad is. And so if we have evidence, we can still write and potentially get a warrant for that guy's arrest, even though the daughter doesn't want any part of it. So she can stay, essentially anonymous. But when it comes down to criminal charges, anonymous doesn't work as much.
Okay.
People have a constitutional right of facing their accusers, and so when a victim is either not available or doesn't want to be a victim, it makes it really difficult for prosecution to actually make that happen. So
right.
Being anonymous is you can make an anonymous report that nobody can see, but you're just documenting it, and you can contact your local law enforcement and say, hey, I don't want to get this guy in trouble. I don't want to press charges. I just want this to go into a file.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, if you search this guy's name and through the database when you guys are looking for him later, and this report pops up that, hey, he did X, Y, and Z to me. And so you can do that all you want. All departments will take those type of reports.
Okay. And so would you say, we might be kind of meandering into legal law, lawyer kind of land, but do people use it as a strategy to work toward charges, to use a third party? For example, daughter is reluctant, her network of friends includes this person and will for a long time, or they work together or something, but they want to move the ball forward. So dad files the report. One, is that a tactic? Is that an acceptable tactic? And two, does her name stay out of it? And I guess three, when you file a report against somebody, are they made aware of it?
So number one, I've never really seen it as a tactic. It's kind of a, what's the word I want to use? Like collateral of that. So I've had like coworkers like, hey, she's being abused. She's saying that she's being abused. I can't, sit by and let this continue to happen. So I'm going to call the police. And usually it's not like the victim tells them, hey, can you call the police for me? I don't want to make that phone call. Well, essentially the police are going to come talk to the victim anyways. So it's kind of an extra step that doesn't need to be taken.
Okay. And so that's not protecting the victim anymore by doing that. Okay.
As far as anonymous, when it comes to criminal reports, the victim can't be anonymous.
Okay.
So if there's a report where it's like, hey, he's beat me up or whatever it is, then that victim to go to the courts and be adjudicated or prosecuted, then he needs to go and they need to have a victim in this case. And we've had plenty of times where the state actually presses the charges on behalf of the victim. So in domestic violence in the state of Idaho, the victim, they don't have to press charges. They can say, I don't want to press charges. Well, the state can step in because of how dangerous like domestic violence is. And they'll be, hey, we're pressing charges on your behalf. And we prosecuted cases like that. We're like, hey, I love my husband. Yeah, he beats me all the time, but I don't want to press charges. Well, no, too bad. We can't, it's not okay. So the state will step in and press the charges, prosecute that guy. Because there's plenty of research out there about domestic violence and how dangerous they are, and Stockholm syndrome and all sorts of stuff where when you're inside of these situations, victims are super afraid and they think they're going to be abused more if they say something, or they have been abused more if they've said something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty tough to navigate that as well.
Okay. All right. So the picture I'm getting, and this is maybe the tough love part of the explanation here with this, because so far I'm channeling my inner victim and I'm saying, okay, so far there's not a lot of meat on the bone if I'm afraid to be present and accounted for in any kind of documentation with, that may have a meaningful end. But kind of something that I'm coming to is, you mentioned something a little while ago, protect yourself, right? And whether it's campus, whether you're just an individual that, has a data, that has any kind of interaction with the outside world, or it's happening in your house, the ability that you have the right that you have to go in and file reports and be identified on that report is just like carrying pepper spray or some other kind of self-protection in that you are protecting yourself. And I think a lot of people don't see that as protecting themselves, because maybe they're looking at the what ifs, the unknowns, that, well, if I do this, I'm really not protecting myself because I could be exacerbating the situation. But in reality, if you want a bad problem to go away, and I'm not just talking about like some, kind of, questionable, I don't know if it's really abuse, or I don't know if it was, if he's stalking me. But if you confirm and the police confirm that it's a bad enough situation, that putting your name on a page is actually not just helping yourself, but again, you might be victim number 2 or 3 or 4 or 10. And so you could be the clincher, because I think oftentimes victims feel like they're the first going in, right?
Well, yeah, and they feel like they're super alone, right? They're the only ones, and it's embarrassing. They feel like it's embarrassing that, hey, I can't believe I let myself get in this situation. I had a good college friend, was my wife's roommate, that she got into an abusive relationship and was extremely embarrassed about her situation, that she just let it go on for years and was getting abused for years and years, until a point where she got fed up and punched the dude in the nose, and then she went to jail for it. Even though she's got years and years of this abuse, she never reported to the law enforcement. And when she punched the guy in the nose, she said, yep, this is the first time we've ever fought, and I punched him in the nose, just to get out of it, which is awful. Super, super awful. And luckily she was able to get out of it and survive that situation. But it's really important to, I tell everybody this, is to keep your head on a swivel, even though you may have a report that's written. And here's the bad part of law enforcement. Like you said, we can't be everywhere all the time. We can't protect people all the time. Even though you have a report, even though this guy's been arrested and he's bonded out, even though you have a protection order, when it comes down to it, like in this case that you're talking about, she was the only one who really could protect herself. And unfortunately, he had the upper hand on her and killed her. And it's super sad. But a lot of that stuff is just a piece of paper, and it's not going to stop bullets. So you need to protect yourself. You need to keep your head on a swivel. You need to don't be alone ever. There's a lot of different things that there are to protect you. You can arm yourself. You can arm yourself with pepper spray or a taser or a gun or whatever it may be, just an extra step of protection. But when it comes down to it, you're the only one who really can truly protect yourself.
Here's something that I don't think we talk enough about when we talk about self-protection. And I think Hollywood has kind of skewed this for us. Even my show might skew it a bit for us, because what we have zero visibility on in almost every situation, unless we've been in it, and then when we do have visibility on our own situations, it's excruciating, is the time it takes in a situation for first response to be affected on a situation. It just kind of dawned on me, if I'm concealed carrying, which I would say is probably one of the apex ways of self-protection, right? I mean, that's my opinion. But it's, as far as effective, it's better than me carrying pepper spray. It's more effective. But I just had a thought though, that basically Hollywood makes it look like anybody with a gun, anybody with pepper spray, anybody with a taser is solving the problem. But really, self-protection is not, it does not make you a lawman. So all you're doing, and this is important for people to know, and maybe this is a reason why people should embrace self-protection at any level, is all you're doing is buying yourself time for somebody who is qualified to close that situation up to arrive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm not going to be the one shooting a guy and then cuffing him and taking him into jail. My wife is not going to be the one pepper spraying an attacker and then detaining him and, walking him into jail. The only thing self-protection does as a citizen, and the effective, the way to look at it, is you are buying yourself more time in a situation that it has an immediate requirement for first response. Would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. So if a 911 comes in, I'll just kind of give you the timeline. Comes in, you've heard of thousands of 911 calls. So, and then you're like, man, it seems like it took forever for the cops to get there. Or, oh, they got there pretty quick. But on an average, it's 2 to 3 minutes before cops start driving that direction. So they get the call, hey, I'm getting shot at. Okay, dispatch it. All right, people have to receive the call. Then they start driving there. And I've had incidents where I'm literally out in the parking lot when something is going on inside the store. And I'm a minute too, late to the call at minimum, and I could be right there.
Mm-hmm.
So just think about how much can happen in a minute without having law enforcement there. But if you can buy yourself a little bit more time, somebody's bashing in the windows at your house, and you can buy yourself a little bit more time. And you've had calls on your show where people have protected themselves, where people broke in and they've shot them, or they've hit them over the head with a 2x4 or something, whatever they've done, right? It buys time because you may live, your show is around the world. You're a very popular guy. And so law enforcement may be 45 minutes away, an hour plus away, before they get there. That's a lot of time that you got to protect yourself. So before they get there. So it's really important to buy yourself some time.
And I, the call that we have on this episode is it's an example of so many things. It's an example of excellent orchestration between campus police and campus security and students and parents. But it's also an excellent example of, bereft of constant visibility on you by campus police or security, there is a need for you to be able to protect yourself. And with that comes education, because if you're on a campus, you need to know what are the extents of my self-protection. And then I would go as far as to say, if you're going to protect yourself, understand the implications of whatever you're using to protect yourself. What is its efficacy? What are the ramifications of using that self-protection, so that you're prepared, like I am, concealed carry. If I pull my weapon out, I'm intending to use it to mitigate a threat. I should just bank on the fact I'm going to end up in front of a judge. I should know that. Even though I'm protecting myself, I will, because I've chosen that as my self-protection. Is that the case? If I pepper spray a guy, maybe not. Maybe it's solved right there on the scene. But I think that's important, is with self-protection, you're buying time for Adam the cop to get to my house, and then the rest of it is sort of, it falls out. It's going to do what it's going to do.
Absolutely. You're 100% right on that.
Well, so that's what I was hoping to hear. Okay, so let's just move on.
I should tell you that more often.
let's round out to the 10. We've covered 1 through, let's say, 6, and then we've got level 7, 8, 9, and 10, which the best option is if you start looking at filing a report documenting these things with the police, if you start visualizing that as self-protection and you're willing to put your name to the page, you're willing to establish, to bring the situation into the light, again, you may be revealing that you weren't the first victim, and you wouldn't know that unless you went through the process. I think an important thing right here, Adam, is let me know on this. Also, when somebody walks in, there's an opportunity for touching and feeling out a situation, right? It's not like they walk in and the moment they sit down, they're like, no, you sat down, so now you got to file a report. You got to put your name. I mean, there's some touching and feeling with that, right? So someone could give their story, and they're not locked and loaded into, filing a protection order at that point. There is that flexibility to sit down, touch and feel the situation and go, yeah, I think I'm good, and walk out without doing anything, right?
Yeah, and here's the thing is, like I said, every situation is different. And so you sit down with an officer and say, hey, I have some questions. And you can go through everything. You can go through all the options that you have. I can do nothing. I can just talk to you, get some advice. I can go forward, X, Y, Z, right? You are not necessarily locked into reporting anything or becoming a victim on a lot of things. So of course, every single jurisdiction is different. Every state's different. So that's the caveat with everything I say is that, hey, it may be the case here, but it may not be in, I don't know, California. So
right.
You're not necessarily locked in, especially when you're just asking questions. It's really important it's got to the point where questions need to be asked. You ask those questions, and good quality police work is answering those questions and helping them your victim to understand fully the entire ramifications or the process, right? It's part of my job to understand how the court system works, how after the court works, and all that stuff from A to Z. I should understand all of that, and I should be able to explain it to you as the victim.
I like that. 2 more things, and then I'll let you go on this. When it comes to victims, what is the benefit? What would you say is there added benefit to either of these situations, and or both? If I'm uncomfortable walking into a police station or calling Adam the cop, victims organizations, do they help grease the skids with the process for a victim? Oftentimes, how as a police officer, and I know this is a little like asking the executive branch of the government to maybe talk about the judicial, that's a political joke, but would you say that that's an avenue that people should consider as well if they feel like they're without resources?
Oh, absolutely. We have great resources for all sorts of different type of victim resources. It doesn't have to be just domestic violence or rape or there's a lot of different resources out there that law enforcement doesn't have to be involved in. You can go there. They can help you. They can give you some advice. And I'm a big supporter of our victim services, either through the court system or through just private entities, the non-governmental organizations out there that do this all the time. And they have support groups. They have places to stay. They have money to help you out with clothing. There's a ton of different stuff that's there that's outside of law enforcement that can help. And I'm a 2 thumbs up towards those groups because they do a ton of work to get people to help them make good decisions. And there's zero pressure because there's not a badge behind them. They're just good people who are trying to help.
Okay. Last question. I'm going to play devil's advocate for you, and I want you to kind of give me your perspective on how you could give peace to somebody who feels this way. I tried so hard I tried so hard. I did everything to try to get this to stop. I went in and I talked to the police and I tried. You've heard this a million times, let's say. I'm sure you have. If somebody is that, like, where is typically the flaw in the armor or the justification or their maybe justified anger or frustration? I've tried everything. I've done everything. When you run into those people, where would you say typically the flaw is in their claim that they've tried everything? I mean, obviously there are times there's injustice, even within police departments, there's injustice, or within the courts or anything. But when you hear somebody say, I've tried everything, what do you find is the most common flaw in that statement? Having seen a lot of people that claim that they've tried everything and still there's a problem. What would you say?
Well, the big thing is what, let's go through a list of what you have tried and how does that pan out, right? You tried getting a protection order and the judge says you don't have enough information. Well, you need to go back and get some more information, or you don't have a case, or whatever you may have tried. I've talked to police officers and they say, X, Y, and Z. So let's build that case to make it a better case. A lot of times when people say, oh, I reported it, and they come to law enforcement and they're like, oh yeah, we reported it. Well, you don't have a case here. It doesn't meet the criteria for the code, or we'll definitely document it, but it doesn't make it illegal sometimes. Sometimes the law is just, these people are skirting the law. They're right there on the edge of things, and they skirt the law. And so now it's law enforcement's fault because they don't solve the problem. Well, we operate within the law. And so something that I tried to do is, number one, get yourself out of the situation so you don't have to keep reporting it. And then number two, let's get some evidence. If you are in that situation and you can't get out of it, or if you feel like, hey, I can stay, it's going to be okay, let's work on getting some good evidence where they can't, the perpetrator can't refuse it. The judge can't refuse it. The prosecutor can't refuse it. So let's get some good evidence. Don't ever put yourself in harm's way to try to make a case. But let's work together as a team versus, hey, I give you all this stuff, I'm going to dump it off on you, and then I'm going to leave. I'm not going to help out in this case. If you want it to really happen, you got to participate in this and help out. And a lot of times, in my experience, is that when, besides just, a lot of times people will say, here, I'm going to dump off all this stuff onto you, vomit all this stuff onto you, and then I'm going to leave. Well, I still need your participation. I still need your help. I still need, more information or interviews or whatever it may be. And I need to get that, to make a case. Well, if you help, if you're not just dumping stuff off on law enforcement and you're actually helping in the likelihood of prosecution, of you being taken care of and no longer a victim of things, then it's because of your participation. And other times, sometimes people, what they're telling us is not true. They're making stuff up. They're not being honest. I mean, they're like, all this stuff is happening, and you look at all the evidence and it shows, no, none of it's happening, and you have some mental health issues. So, unfortunately, people who over-report or make false statements, it makes it difficult for the true victims, the people who are really being victimized, because people lie. People lie all the time. People claim, oh, they got raped, when actually you got drunk, you guys had consensual sex, and now you're super regretting it because you have a boyfriend at home or a husband at home, and now you're going to say this to try to get yourself out of this trouble. So that's not all the case, but a lot of times there's a lot of instances where that actually happens. And what does it do? It clogs up the system full of reports of false reports that you have to go through, and it sucks.
It makes a false report. I think you bring up, in the case of rape or sexual crimes, but across the board, and we expect. I'm speaking for you here a bit, but having looked at a lot of these cases and
use my accent though.
It is that you are constantly, as the police are constantly put in the seat of having to take people at their word and then use that. And the ones that the cases with police that rise to the top of CNN's list and everything are where cops were jaded and ignored information or dismissed a victim or whatever. But the majority of the time, the police don't just get there because this is your first time walking into the police department and filing or stating your claim. Very similar to how you and I might watch a scary movie and come away with different results as far as our opinion on its level of horror. Situations can't just be anecdotal. They can't be like, this was the worst thing that ever happened to me, I want him to go to jail. The worst thing that ever happened to you has to be laid up against codes, has to be laid up against law, has to be laid up against, and so to your point, I think a lot of people, me included, I'm a rules minder, and I get mad about the dumbest thing, like I want the landscapers in my neighborhood to go to jail because they get hired to come out 4 times a week and waste all the water, and it's ridiculous. So I'm not saying that everybody's claims are frivolous, but what I am saying is I like what you said about you've got to come in sober of mind. You've got to be able to provide an ample amount of information and then stay present in the process. And it's not a game, but you have to play this as if your real life situation has to be mapped to codes and laws for there to be some effect. Otherwise, you're just going to be disaffected. Otherwise, you're going to feel like the process let you down, when in reality, it couldn't be laid up against codes that where police could take, or the courts or anybody could affect a change. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We have certain policies and laws and everything to that we have to follow. And sometimes we don't like it, but it's just the rules are the rules.
Yeah. I like what you said there too. I think as far as the protect yourself part, a lot of these situations happen, every once in a while there's a situation where some rando comes out of nowhere and commits a crime. But in the majority of cases, and maybe I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but it usually happens within a network of either friends or family or associates. And because of that, we don't want to accept the fact that in order for us to process this as a crime or as some law being violated, we don't like to accept the thought of we need to separate ourselves from the environment as effectively as possible. And so a lot of these people might stay in the pocket much longer than they needed to. To your point, not removing themselves from harm, because nobody likes the thought of somebody inflicting some kind of injustice against us and then us having to just kind of, walk away. But it's not walking away. It's that whole protect yourself, right?
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And that may be the case, is like, I just need to get out of this situation altogether. Just be out of it completely. And that may solve a lot of our issues. Self-protection. Going
back to what we said, from the scale of 1 to 5, 1 to 6, even if the outcome is you have to get out of the situation, but you've gone in, you've reported it, you're present and accounted for in the report, that then, although your situation might be totally frustrating in that you weren't able to affect a conviction or charges against somebody, everything you did could have been yeoman's work for somebody else down the road. And so I think that's important to remember, is sometimes the worst thing that can happen to us, we just need to make sure that we've documented that and that we keep ourselves safe, because the worst thing that happened to us might help to prevent an even worse thing happening to somebody else down the road, I would assume.
Yep, Absolutely. I've been part of cases where I'm like, oh, this is a slam dunk, and it gets to a jury, and one person on the jury doesn't agree with me or the prosecution, and the person gets acquitted. Well, fast forward a couple more years, and hey, they're doing the exact same thing again. And how can I make that case even more, sealed tightly? Right? They're waterproof from anything, and so it may. There's times where we'll get them again. We'll get them again, unfortunately. So that's just really important to understand that sometimes it comes down to a jury. And if a jury doesn't agree with it, then that's the way our legal system works. I don't like it. Spend hours and hours and days of, weeks of trying to get the best result for a victim. And sometimes it just doesn't work out. And it really sucks.
Yeah. But it's the reality. So I like this. This is uncomfortable. Because it's nothing is a slam dunk. But I like that we can hopefully convey a little bit of the message of protect yourself, separate yourself, document, be truthful, and know that the exposure that you're the exposure or the rehashing of a terrible situation may be a sacrifice that helps to either resolve or prevent someone else from going through the same thing. And again, you might not know it. You might think you're going in here as the first person ever to talk about Jerry. Come to find out, because you were honest, because you were straightforward, because you were willing to stay in there, you find out that you're victim number 5 and you're the one that closed it because you were willing to do this. I like that. All right. Well, I feel like I bothered you long enough. I will probably call you as a reflex the next time I am bereft of information, which is going to be daily. So hopefully you're okay with that.
I got to charge my phone now.
Yeah. Let me know how many times I can call you before I get arrested for stalking. And then, I'll pare it back by a couple.
Okay. I'll let you
Adam,
know.
thanks for talking to me. I really appreciate it. And thanks for answering the questions that I had.
You betcha.
So, I love you so much.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. Well, we heard it from Adam, the cop, and I'm so grateful. He probably hates dinners with me because I just ask him so many questions. My question always, I'm like, hey, Adam, how are things going? You shot anybody in the face lately? I always ask him that every single time. And I'm always disappointed that he hasn't. But anyway, I love him. And, he's full of so much information. I need to remember to reach out to him more. How about a happy ending to wrap this one up?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Here it is.
Have your seatbelt on.
I do not need this right now. I'm having a mental breakdown. Please do not do this to me right now. Nothing's wrong with me, but this cannot happen right now.
Whoa. Stay in the car.
Don't talk to me like that.
Well, please get back in the car.
I don't like this. I don't like any of this.
Why are you making this more difficult than it needs to be?
Because he showed up with his me and ass mentality, and I don't do well.
You don't do anything.
I don't do well with aggressive men, okay? I just don't. I'm not talking to you. I'm not going to listen to you talking to me like this.
How much alcohol do you have?
None.
So is there a reason that I smell the odor of an non-alcoholic beverage coming from?
There's many alcohols in my car because they've been there for
Are they open?
No.
Then why would I smell it?
Here we go.
Okay.
Put me on blast.
So I'm going to request you perform roadside tasks.
What do you want me to do?
I want you to recite the alphabet starting with the letter A all the way forward and with the letter C.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, G, G, R, K. I haven't done this since I was 12. Oh my god, I don't think I remember the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, G, Q, R, S, H, I...
You'll be placed under arrest for driving under influence.
I mean this with all of my heart. You do not want to put me in that car. You don't want me to put in that car.
You're going in the car.
Okay. Somebody have to, this is, I can't even do it with you.
So much. QRS, HIV. I mean, she had it all.
LMNOG.
LMNOG. I haven't done this since I was 12. Oh, man. Well,
that was a good one.
Again, the cops doing what they do, and that's stay patient under extreme circumstances. So,
not sure how.
I'm not sure how either. Well, if you liked this, give us a 5-star if you can, and then just tell us if whatever you want to say. 5 stars help. If you want to support the show, support all the people at 1159 Media, you know where to go. I've said it a couple times on the episode. And until next time, hugs everybody.
Goodbye.
Thank you.